academic session of the 3-day national seminar on sustainable business model, innovation and management practices. Priorities and perspectives, organized by Department of Commerce Marketing. Let's invoke this session for the blessing of Almighty with a silent prayer. Thank you. Our speaker for today's first session is here. Dr. A. Vinodhan, Associate Professor and Head Department of Commerce, Central University of Tamil Nadu. I would like to invite Ms. Amy Elsa Boni, Assistant Professor of the Department of Marketing, to welcome our guest.
A fine morning to everyone present over here. I, on behalf of the Department of Marketing, Bharata College, take up this opportunity with immense privilege to welcome the speaker of the day. With immense pleasure, let me introduce the speaker of this session, Dr. A. Vinodhan. Dr. A. Vinodhan, currently working as an Associate Professor in Department of Commerce in the School of Commerce and Business Management at the Central University of Tamil Nadu. He was the founder, Nodal Officer of Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel, South Campus, Nellore. He holds PhD in Management from Cochin University of Science and Technology, Kerala. He has 17 years of teaching and research experience in commerce, management and tourism. He has introduced the first approved PGDM MBA in tourism and cargo management in the country. He is a certified trainer's trainer of WFTG UK and holds a research certificate from the University of Amsterdam. He has completed MBP from SHRI Singapore. He has undertaken various research and consultancy services for the Ministry of Tourism and State Government and published articles in referred journals, policy papers and case studies including UNEP, MDEF of Government of India. Recently, he was awarded Fellowship of Sustainable Tourism by EWI US. It's our privilege to have you with us today, sir. Once again, hearty welcome. Thank you.
Sir, please take the stage for the session, sir.
A very warm good morning to one and all. Thank you. The principal of the college, coordinator Dr. Sujit Kumar, and other faculty members of the Department of Commerce, Marketing. Indeed, it's a great privilege and pleasure for me to come and address this August gathering during this national seminar on sustainable business model, innovation and management practices, priorities and perspectives. When I got this invitation from Dr. Sujit Kumar, just by seeing the title only, I just agreed. The area which I have been working, or you can say I've been practicing for last 10 years, through academic research and other direct intervention across the country. The sustainability is a buzzword, as you all know. These days, everywhere the elements of sustainability crop up. every universities and colleges, if you take up for the last 2-3 years, all the funding agencies prefer to have a seminar or conference on sustainability, one way or other. Whether it is related to commerce department or management studies department, tourism, or a master's in social work, in economics, irrespective of domain, sustainability has been included as one of the major aspects of discussion of these days. So, bringing your attention to today's topic, I have been given a lot of topic. From that, I thought of doing something slightly different. Probably you must have experience in the similar kind of sessions. But I found it slightly different to address, especially youngsters. So I chose the topic on gender and sustainability. Gender and sustainability, that is, I found it is a bit more relevant and beyond the classroom teaching. We should understand and discuss certain elements, especially youngsters. In a very, patriarchal Indian society, I won't say it's not only in India, everywhere in one way or other, but specifically in India, it's a patriarchal society. We need to have a lot of deliberations about these concepts. Before going to the gender aspects of sustainability, I think ideally I would like to, basically I'm a teacher, so don't get bored. If you have a question in between also, it's quite welcome. What I feel that I should make you aware about the concept of sustainability. Right, so I think by the time you must have got a lot of inputs from different speakers, but what I feel it is slightly different. I do explain the term sustainability in 3 different eras. The era which I decided to keep, the Britland era, pre-Britland, Britland and post-Britland. You must be wondering who is Britland. Britland, Gro Harlem Britland, was the former Norwegian Prime Minister. She, within 2 inverts, she is the person who defined today's sustainable development. She defined the sustainable development. Most of you must be knowing what exactly is sustainable development, how it has been UN defined in 1987. So development which meet the needs of the present without impairing the ability of future generations. Right? We call it as the kind of anthropocentric definition, because what is anthropocentrism? Anthropology? Study of human evolution, right? Yes. So anthropocentric definition, that means human is the major custodian of nature and natural resources, right? We have an approach of ecocentrism, where myself and the frogs and other all other organisms which is living in the universe will have an equal chance, or you can say equal right. But most often the development, the highest brilliant species in the universe that a human decides. So this human-centered development, which is defined sustainable development like this. So Britland, even before Britland in 1987, you can see that there is another terminology which I have just called here, Silent Spring. Silent Spring, you must be knowing that it's written. It's an environmental book. It is written by Rachel Carson, the marine biologist of USA. That's also she was discussing about the impact of DDT, you must be knowing inside, pesticide on human life or the living species. This was the first wake-up call. It is in 1963, 62. It this was the first wake-up call for all sustainability sustainability related discourses of today. Even before that, in Bible, Eden, right? Is a reference about Edens, and in Quran, the reference about stewardship of the universe or the nature, and in Ramayana, Aranyaka, all these were referred in different ways. That the concern of the sustainability was there even time immemorial in different forms. So today's sustainability discourses is the major basis was this Silent Spring. Still it is available, I think you can Google it and see, right? Then second very important global negotiation on sustainability was the Stockholm Conference of 1972, right? This is called it as, United Nations Conference of Human Environment, United Nations Conference on the UN Environment, where 114 nations have participated in the program. Only 2 head of the states were prominent, or 2 head of the state. Often you can see that environment related issues people are not that much interested, right? One way or other they think that it's not my business. I have many other business to transact it. So there also only 2 head of the state were participated, right? Obviously it is in Sweden. So the head of the Sweden was one of the member, and second one we can proudly say it's our head of the state, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Since then, every country, all countries of the world, all nations globally started the Ministry of Environment. So far we haven't had such kind of mechanism at all. So initial days our concern was all about the environment related to sustainability, right? Not about anything else. Then we moved to 1980. So it was agreed in 1972 that every 10 years we will have a global discussion and discourses. But of course, what happened? We were not in a position to take up after 10th year, 1982. Instead, what we decided to form a UN Commission on Sustainable Development, UNCSP, and Grohanda Bretland was the chairperson for that, and she brought the very viable definition for all of us. Still, we are talking about all the discussions based on that particular definition. Then let us move to this post-Bretland, very important global submission after 20 years of 1992, that was held in Rio de Janeiro, where today's triple actions of sustainability emerged, where your economic, social, and environmental, right? Wherever you discuss today about sustainability, you have a triangle where sustainability is all about economic dimension, social dimension, and the environment dimension. It was emerged. In the topic which today I am going to discuss about the result or the aftermath of Rio conference, and followed by implementation level, we have introduced in 2000 Millennium Development Goal with 8 goals, where also social aspects were very, very prominent, including gender. Gender got a very important limelight in this sector. And subsequently in 2002, World Summit on Sustainable Development was held in Johannesburg, where one more aspect has been added along with the sustainability, that's all about the governance, right? Economic, social, and environmental. Everybody can talk about sustainability, but who will take care of, who will do, who will practice it in the form of discussions, who will execute it? So one very important aspect which has been added, that is the governance in 2002 as a part of WSST. Then 2012, again Rio 20, it's also discussed about all the 4 elements of sustainability, that is social, economic, environment, and the governance. further reiterated in 2022, very recently. Stockholm 50, you must have seen, very aware. A lot of discussions and discourses are happened, and what they look for in between the SDG in 2015 Sustainable Development Goals with 169 sub-goals and 17 goals. You must have already known all these elements, right? Then, so we will have a development, with operational aspects of the 15 years from 2015 to 2030. Then subsequently, Stockholm it just now happened in June 6th onwards in Stockholm, talking about what will we do beyond 2030. Because all my youngsters who are sitting here maybe at 20 years, how old are you? Yeah, okay, 20, 21 and all. So if I see the life expectancy of Kerala compared to all other states in the country, life expectancy of Kerala, it is very higher than the other states. Am I correct? Yeah, so if you want to live for another 100 years, am I correct? Yeah, I mean, maybe 100 years or whatever, it's your choice. So, we need a peaceful environment. We need a very conducive environment, or surroundings to live. This is what is very, very important. So Stockholm is discussing about something beyond 1930. What we will do with the 17 goals? Are we able to move further, or will it sufficient? Or are we able to, in between we got an obstruction in the form of pandemic, corona? So all the goals, whether we are able to move it further, or what would be the next strategy for meeting the developmental aspirations, or an environmental concern, or social progress, how will we can approach after 2030? That was the major discussions of Stockholm 50. In this discourses, we will be moving to the other aspects of our core of our discussions here. Till 2015, or you can say 2012, we were talking about this people, planet, and profit, right? People, planet, and profit. But we gradually moved. The profit is a major issue. Even otherwise, also I think people talk about financial sustainability. I often say that whoever is investing, they know how to make money, right? We don't need to, talk a lot about the financial sustainability. Everybody knows how to make money and assets. So the people, planet, and profit was the terminology that was it has been moved. It has been changed into a prosperity, peace, and partnership. Today, after 2015, things are moving to prosperity, peace, and partnership. So prosperity, there is a very, very subjective element, right? And peace, also very, very subjective element. And partnership, of course, we should have a very collaborative form of approaches for the next level of development. Here itself, three major, our fourth major, I told you, the governance has not been connected here. Three major aspects of sustainable development has been addressed here. First one is economic and social, where is the viability of the program, right? When you talk about environment and economic operations, some cases it's whether it will be viable or not. For example, when you adopt certain environmental technology, a little bit your electric cars are costlier than the other one. Am I correct? Right. And when I reached Ernakulam North Station, two gentlemen came and picked me up to this place, Mr. Ambadi and another one, Akash, and they are the practicing students, it seems, and they are into the business of organic products, right? So organic, if you are not aware, I'm just telling you, right? So organic products, comparatively, organic products are a bit costlier than the other one. I don't know what kind of products they are selling. So the viability, and when it comes to the market, the viability, viability is a major issue. If you wanted to club the concern of environment as well as the economy. Similarly, here, environment and social development. When you talk about the social development and environment, whether it is
really wearable to either the environment or the society, because we say that 63% of Indian villages are not being electrified. Now people say small villages are being electrified. So we have to see that if you ensure the electricity for everyone, how far the environment can withstand, because your NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, is one of the largest polluter, right? Its pollution contribution is more than 20%. So if you are stalling the electricity operation, how will you progress it? How will you ensure the welfare of the humanity, right? So that's whether it is bearable to that environment if you do it that way. And next one is the economic and social, where it's an element of equitable, the topic which we are going to discuss it here. Equity, economic and social, if you bring together, whether it become equitable, because economic progress, you can say, you must have seen the earlier days, economic progress is measured on the basis of GDP, am I correct? Am I correct? Yeah, GDP, gross domestic product. Then after that, we were measuring about Human Development Index, HDI, right? Yes. A GDP was, we were saying the 6% contribution is given, 7% contribution is given. For example, my contribution may be the Mukesh Ambani's contribution, and the person who is serving my house, the contribution is also being counted. We do take the average. Is it, sir? Is it equitable? This is a question, right? Whether these things are equitable or not. So we have to consider those aspects in mind, where we can ensure an equity in these discussions, right? These are the operational constraints. When we look into the other three elements, eco-efficiency as a menu, economics and environment, when you operationalize, your target would be the eco-efficiency. Similarly, environment and society, if you social development, if you bring it together, we should have a socio-economic well-being. You have to ensure that it's within this available natural resources we are able to sustain it further. And third one is economic and social, that is socio-economic equity. Ensure that it is being distributed among all people one way or other. We do not have a proper mechanism. Though we have governance, that is the reason we say the governance is also one of the major elements of sustainable development. It is introduced in 2002. Because who will ensure, who will take up the responsibility? Everybody can speak sustainable development, sustainability, all these things, right? Who will be the torchbearer? Who will take up the responsibility? So the governance is also very, very important to ensure the socio-economic equity. It is the need of the hour. This is what the gender, right? Next. So in today's world, based on the sustainable development goals, to speak about the gender and sustainability, the one shortcut solution before us is to comply with SDG 5 and SDG 4, right? What is all about SDG 5? SDG 5 talk about achieve the gender equality and empower all women and girls. Gender equality, right? Gender equality. There is no sex equality, gender equality. And fourth goal says that ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, because a fundamental element of making people equipped is education. Education is the very basic element, right? And promoting lifelong learning opportunities for everyone. There is no hamper or there is no obstructions for. Thank you. There should not be any kind of obstruction for any gender format in this world in accessing education. Because education, by and large, what is the simple meaning of education? How do you say that? What is learning? What is learning? Say, students should say. I will not ask teachers. What is learning? Learning means education. What do you do when you learn? Gain knowledge, then after that? you start responding like that. Am I correct? Isn't it? That is what the education is being given. Learning. So learning simply is the modification of behavior. Right? Modify your behavior when you acquire knowledge, whatever it may be. So it will be modifying your behavior. So basically all living beings or human beings are very good. That is the reason Vivekananda said education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. What? Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Every human being has that perfection within. But education will make it an en route to bring into the fore, to make it perfect, and you can use it and you can disseminate it. So this is what what we have to give it. Education to all gender groups, not only women, okay? We have many other gender groups in the society, including LGBTQ+. Though the number is less, that also we have to take into account in terms of development, in terms of resource sharing. I will come to the point in later stage. So SDGs 4 and 5, it's very, very important in bringing the sustainability or the gender sustainability across the globe. So there we have 5, SDG 5, we have 5 criteria. I'm not going to discuss here as such. This, I think you can go through it, what exactly the gender, SDG 5 and SDG 4. The basic or the core of SDG 5 is that achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls. And SDG 4 is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, because economic independence is very, very important, right? Economic independence is very, very important for all gender, all class of people. So we should have an egalitarian platform to share, our skill and to equip ourselves for the next generation. This is what is important here. Gender sustainability is concerned. Please next. So gender sustainability, when you speak about economic liberation or economic independency, for all group of people, right? Irrespective of their gender. Men, when we talk about, gender and sustainability, it does not mean that only women, okay? Men is very, very important, right? Other, gender groups are also very, very important in this forum discussions. But when you talk about sustainability, we are looking for equal society or an egalitarian society. What we should understand? We should understand where it is lagging or which side is lagging, right? That does not mean that we are undermining the contribution of men, or men's role is not required, or their contribution is already saturated. Nobody is telling like that. What we are telling, there should be a provision for a level playing field where women, one of the major segment which is not being represented in that way. So we should have a level playing field to bring them to the fore of economic transitions and social operations, and even in the governance level, right? This is what we have to see here. Globally, women represented 36.8%. Before COVID, it was 45.3. According to World Bank, in South Asia, it was 22.4. But there is a huge disparity in operations, existence. 7 million fewer women in employment than men, right? And 27% of managers and leaders are women, right? Only, right? And 18% average difference in pay. You must be knowing that in informal and informal sector, even you can say a so-called unorganized sector, it's very rampant and very prevalent that women won't get the equal pay, right? It is really hampering the basic constitutional right of equal pay for equal work. So that is what we reflected. Even in the organized sector also, you can say there is 18% differences, right? And there are good number of female members in the society. They are not in job. 21.2% of youth are not in employment, in education or training, and out of that, 69.1% are women, right? So you can see the disparity. we should address these elements. And 41% of women with university degrees are either unemployed or outside labor force. Does not mean that all men are getting job, right? Men percentage is comparatively lesser, that is 70.2, when compared to women it is 41.5. So there is a disparity which is existing. We are moving for sustainability. There should not be any disparity because your SDG 5 says that gender equality and empowerment, right? Gender equality and empowerment. So we have to address this gap. And when it comes to in a poor job, 89% of South Asian and women are employed in low-skilled jobs, right? It's not high-skilled jobs, low-skilled jobs. That we will see how it is. In India, the thing is slightly different. It is 20.3% women workforce, right? And when you come to the formal, you are all going to do. You are all in, doing BCom, and you may go for an MBA or MCom. You may acquire some other management degree. When it comes to the board of directors or chief executives of business organization, women representation is very, very, very meager or poor or poorest 4.7%. And when it comes to board, right, these are all major executive level decision-making boards, right? So the percentage is 7.7%. So there is an element. I told you the governance is also one of the part of sustainable development. In that case, where is the question of gender equality or the egalitarian society? The decision-making level, women is totally underrepresented. Women in the formal and informal sector, because that is very, very, very alarming in many ways. So let us see the globally. 51 points is according to ILO, International Labour Organization. 51.8% women constitute in the informal sector employment, right? 92% is in developing countries. You can see that these differences. 92% is very alarming according to Time in 2020 says. In India, women in informal sector is 92.1 and formal percentage is 7.9. There are some discrepancies in statistics in different organizations. This is which I got it from Korea University. They have published work. It's only 7.9% are into the formal sector employment in India. Female labor force participation decreased for the last 10 years. 30.27% 1990 to 20.8 2019. So decrease in women representation or labor force participation. This is a concern of everyone. When we talk about the attainment of SDG in 2030, your existing labor force participation rate has been decreased. So where is the question of attainment of certain targets? And concern is not always a concern of everyone, but this is the area we have to look into. Then at the same time, you must have seen that especially in 2007 in India, gross enrollment ratio has increased. So it 44 to 49%, but this increase in gross enrollment ratio of women or girls, it's not represented in employment. And 21.49 female entrepreneurs, you can see, 13.41 are working in non-agricultural sector. India's female labor force participation now among the world's lowest, right? Around 20%, par with the countries like Saudi Arabia, right? India ranks 121 out of 131 countries of female labor force participation rate. Its situation is very, very alarming. In this juncture, what I felt, this disparity exists. Seems it is widening one way or other. What I thought when I got this invitation, I thought let me bring some of my reflections which I have been associated. I have been doing some of my research or some of the area which the forums for of this August forum. this formal and informal sector, when you talk about certain sector, electricity or some other sector, it's a very highly formal sector, right? Or some areas, some sectors, agriculture and related things are, what you can say, handicrafts, handlooms, in this are, informal sector. There are certain sectors where you can find both together. One of such sectors is tourism, where you can find the formal sector as well as the informal sector. A highly well-established Hyatt hotel is available in Cochin, am I correct? Right. And Taj must be also available in Cochin, right? So yes, a lot of well-established institutions are in tourism sector. And similarly, there are a lot of large number of people who are working in informal sector. So what I thought of bringing these differences, tourism may be one of the examples which I am going to bring here, but definitely there are similar kind of business operations you can note it, or you must have come across in your research or your other operations. Yeah, how the gender. Tourism support 1 out of 11 jobs in the world, expected to grow over the next 10 years with an additional 24 million direct jobs by 2023. It's our very near target. Gender dynamics in relations in host and guest for society's emerging domain of tourism discourses. Because two aspects, women travelers is on one side, right? Other side is the people who are working in the tourism sector. We are on the supply side. That means both the demand side and supply side. Gender dynamics are very, very strong. Theorizing gender in tourism is in infancy in India. We don't have that much of research related to gender in tourism. It's one of the major sectors, service sector, you must be knowing in our country. Large chunk of around 10% of GDP is coming from tourism-related operations in India. Interplay of gender and social construction leading to more complex understanding of guest host roles. We need to understand more, the intricacies which are involved in the guest and host relationship, especially when you touch the aspects of gender. A sector which majority are female workforce, right? Majority are female workforce. Most women are engaged in low-skill jobs, right? Next. Globally, women represent 60 to 70% of the global tourism workforce. You must be wondering why this gentleman is coming and giving a floppy figure of 60 and 70, why he is not getting the exact statistics. Okay, this is the reality. We don't have, because organized sector you may have some statistics, formal sector you may have some statistics, but informal sector is very, very difficult. And when you just move from Ernakulam to Muna, in between, en route you may find a lot of ladies are engaged in one way or other different kinds of activities related to supporting tourism, right? So this is whether can we count all this? We don't have a mechanism to count. Tourism sector has twice as many female employees than other sectors. There are some statistics I have given here. It's Latin America. More than half of the tourism enterprises are run by women, right? And about 70% of tourism business owners are women. In Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, there are women outpasses or outnumbers men as far as tourism operations concerned. Difference in female share of employment in travel and tourism, although tourism and overall economy is highest in some of the countries like Mexico, followed by South Korea, South Africa, etc. You can see those figures, but the challenges are highly variable, highly variable demand cycle with irregular working hours. Because tourism is not a very regular phenomenon, right? Some countries you can say that it is somehow they are able to meet the cycle or the seasonality cycle, but other countries, especially we have a tourism season. Though in government of India says that India is a land of all season for all reasons, right? India is a land of all season for all reasons, but in reality it is very, very difficult. When I have been working this field for many years with various stakeholders, every time in the month of June, July, they say some of the guides, right? guys, they say that, sir, actually we don't have job these days, somehow we are able to manage it, right? So they are trying to do some other job. So seasonality is very, very important. If the guide says like that, you can imagine the condition of unorganized workers associated with this, right? This is what. So in India, women account around 46.4% of travel and tourism employment compared to 43 world, yes, as a whole, all overall economic activities. But the formal share of tourism jobs, because we were discussing about informal and formal, right? The formal share of tourism job, we are almost equal to Saudi Arabia and Turkey, right? 12.1 is the percentage of formal employment of women, but at the same time, informal sector, our contribution, the women participation is very high. But let us see what the formal sector, informal sector, what the actual reflection says. Don't you be curious? We should know what exactly happening in formal and informal sector. So in this gender, what I found that let me bring some examples which I could which I have experienced. This is what I am going to just present before you. The point you have to understand that since I am taking a tourism as a subject, it's a service sector, right? Service sector is one of the largest employment provider, am I correct? And the GDP contributor, you must be knowing the percentage of contribution of service sector to Indian GDP. So that is what Niti Aayog is aspiring for. It's making 78% of overall GDP. So in that way, you can say all the service sector will have this kind of issues, but tourism is a bit more typical, where skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled people are employed one way or other, right? So I found that this is the right way of making you understanding about the gender dynamics, please. For the formal and informal sector, I have taken 4 studies. The very first study related to the formal sector, women managers moving on, what might influence their career advancement and satisfaction in Indian hotel industry. This is not my study. This I have taken from Vidya Patwardhan and Suresh Ramana. They have conducted a study on Indian hotels, because I want to bring some formal reflections for you. Because when I was discussing with one of my friends, they told me that you are going to a college. If it is a sociology or social work or some other related students, they must be very curious to know your informal sector dynamics and all. But when you talk about BBA, BCom and all, by and large they wanted to understand the formal sector, what is happening in formal sector. This is what. But what I told that, but there is a consciousness, right? There is this consciousness with everyone. Whether I am working in a formal sector, can't I have a little bit of consciousness about informal sectors? Right, and this is what, because unless and until we become more responsible, we cannot have any kind of target in sustainable development, right? Whether it is related to gender or any other progress which we are aspiring for. And second study of informal sector is related to entrepreneurial leadership. The first one is related to leadership, and second one is related to entrepreneurial leadership. Challenges of women entrepreneurs in tourism industry, which we have conducted the study. And informal sector, there is another study related to skill development, that is identification of skill requirements of women artisans, reference to cultural tourism, and last one is women intervention, because governance is also very important aspect. How far they are involved in the governance of tourism resources, the intervention, that is identifying the community engagement in ecotourism destinations, a political sustainability approach. Right. This study which I have conducted here in Kerala, and skill requirement I have conducted, skill requirements and challenges for women entrepreneurs, both we have conducted in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Right. So let us see what this research says. Yeah, the first study on hotel, on leadership says that career advancement is associated with, you can see that, associated with the facilities and constraints. the contextual factors, facilities and constraints and contextual factors. This are the factors which affect the career advancement. And personal and organizational strategy did not mediate in this aspirations. Very important point when we talk about women into workforce, the glass ceiling had not impacted the job and career satisfaction. People who are doing the studies must be knowing that glass ceiling, I will discuss it, what exactly glass ceiling, it had not impacted their job and career satisfaction, and findings clearly indicate that women managers may adjust their feelings of satisfaction to reduce dissonance and remain committed to employment. That means women, as an employee of an organization, they are ready to adjust or according to the organizational requirement, irrespective of their emotional labor. You must be knowing that emotional labor. So they are ready to adjust it and contribute to the organizational success. So there is no difference in their productivity, what they are aspiring, right? What the organization is demanding from women or men, you cannot have any kind of differences. They are able to contribute according to the organizational objectives. This is what the first study in the formal sector it says. The second one, entrepreneurial dynamics. It's very, very important. Gender-specific factors do not account for underperformance of women entrepreneurs. Women entrepreneurs. As and when you are in an organized or formal setup, you may have a quota of 8 hours working and all, right? When you become an entrepreneur, I don't think you will have the freedom of that 8 hours, right? So you may have to work sometimes day and night. Some of you are aspiring for entrepreneurship. So this day and night working and all, though they have a lot of their own constraints, gender-specific constraints or gender-specific factors, because which are associated with the different kind of gender roles in the family and society, right? That it's not leading to any kind of performance deviation. That is what the second study says. So women can become a better entrepreneurs as far as this study is concerned, right? There is no such kind of deviations in their performance. So they can play a vital role. So such kind of contribution, don't you think this is what we require for the further development of in the nation, right? 50 and plus percentage of the population, right? 50 plus percentage. I do say 50 plus percentage as far as gender is concerned, because men plus women, right, and other group, LGBTQ plus, I told you. So probably it is more than 50%. So inclusive, what we preach about inclusive growth or inclusive development, we need an included society with the contribution of everyone. Let us move what informal sector says. Informal sector, the study conducted among artisans. Kalankari saris, most of you must have heard, right? Have you seen Kalankari saris? Kalankari, it's a very typical artwork of Andhra Pradesh. I think almost all branded establishments you can see that Kalankari dress, right? So a lot of I have done a project for Government of India, Ministry of Tourism, and I have been working among Kalankari artists for almost 3.5 years. For a project, subsequently I published a paper. A majority, 80% of the Kalankari artists are women, right? There are two types of Kalankari. One is handprint based artwork. Other one is block printing, right? Most of you must be available here in your area. I think the block printing, that is the Machilipattanam of Andhra Pradesh. That is widely produced in Machilipattanam of Andhra Pradesh. Other one, handprint one, it's a bit costly. I told you, as when you go for this environment friendly and all, it's a bit costly. Handprint one, that is in Thrikkakara. You must have heard about the Thrikkakara of Andhra Pradesh, that circle, that region, near to Tirupati, right? So what it says that there is a positive correlation between skill requirements and women-centric factors. There is a positive correlation between skill requirements and women-centric factors. Women-centric factors here, it's work-life balance. You must be knowing, right? Working conditions, poor family support, then insecurity, social dilemma, and many other factors we have identified. So there is a correlation between skill requirements and women-centric factors. So what mean to say that some of the women-centric factors are one way or other, it's not equipping them the initial stages, right? Initial stages of their life to get this kind of skills. This is what is one of the important aspects. These factors, it's not supporting, but you must be knowing that yesterday I was attending another session. People were telling that if you have two child, male and female, I don't know in Kerala, but in Andhra and Tamil Nadu and many other states, ideally they send their female child in government school and male child in CBSE or so-called schools. I don't know if it's happening here. But such kind of discrimination is there. So skill acquisition sometimes become a hurdle, but once it is acquired, they are able to perform it. This is what this study says that. And the last one is how they engage in the decision-making process. Political sustainability actually is not a very clear terminology which is coined in studies in India, but it is there. It says that a community, this study I have conducted in your Parambikulam, Periyar and some of the wildlife sanctuaries here, where you must have heard about eco-development committees, right? So there are eco-development committees, men and women are part of that. So is there any significant difference in their engagement compared to men? This is what was my study. It is found that there is no gender difference in assimilating community engagement practices and process supporting the political sustainability. That means overall governance, right? There is no significant difference. Wherever they have been enrolled as a member of the committee for resource sharing or decision making, they are doing their job and accordingly they are able to contribute that particular operations. This is what it says that. Here also you must have seen that governance strategy and stewardship strategy and empowerment strategy, where the women, it is really into that if they are part of the decision making process. If it is out of the system, no one can help. If they are into the system, they contribute what decide or actually required for that particular action or operations. Right? Yes. Considering this, tourism was just an example where I thought of just sharing with you. What can be done for that? You got it? We have a target of 2030. We found that lot of disparities, right? A major disparity is there, both informal and formal sector. Informal is not that much, but even then what can be done? Can we have a very identical solution for all? We cannot have. So what we have to do, we have to have a solution according to the sectors. Basically, you must have seen that the term sustainability is local specific, right? Sustainability of Cochin is not applicable to sustainability of maybe Periyar or some other area, right? Or even Thrissur, because this is local specific. Every aspects it's locally generated that will support the lives of that area. In this case, so we have a three sectoral approach for the future direction. Admit that gender is not equal because there are certain sexual roles. So sexual oriented roles, including breastfeeding and all, we cannot have an equalization, right? We cannot keep it like that. But admitting the reality, we should inquire for a level playing field, irrespective of the sector. And one of the major constraints with the women in entering into the economic activities is the birth spacing issues. Though UN says that 2 to 3 years is minimum required for birth spacing, but by and large in a poor society, right, it is not being practiced. So it will affect their career progression or their employability. I won't say career will come only in a formal sector, the employability is concerned. And other one, there are different forms of penalty for this, women workforce is concerned. That is motherhood penalty, right? They have to cost the motherhood. Employment, as I mean, they go for employment, there will be, they have to cost because they may not have all the employment provisions where the man is getting because of this, right? And wage penalty, wage of course is lower than the other one, right? And leadership roles we already discussed, right? How much people are admitting women to become leaders. Then parenthood employment gap. When the parenthood employment gap is also happens because for these days maybe for 6 months or 1 year, whatever it may be, if the frequent birth and all, it's there will be huge employment gap that affects whether you work in a formal sector, informal sector, or whatever it may be. This affect them. And care sharing is a concern. Even now, irrespective of all families, whether it is a very top, rich family, poor family, or mediocre family, whatever the classification, I don't know, economics will be, care sharing, is it happening? Right? No care sharing, right? Care, don't think that only mother is taking care of children. It's not like that. By and large, your parents, grandparents were taken care of by female members only, right? And for take care of husband side parents and take care of own parents, right? There are a lot of elements, lot of discussions, and it's who will take care of and keep for the time being. You don't want to go for 6 months or 7 months. This is what is happening, right? And I would like to tell the boys who are sitting here, don't be very lethargic and easy. The same situations are going to come to you very shortly. Now, earlier days, I think women or the girls, they were saying that, okay, anyhow, because it's Sanskrit, Bharata means the protector, right? Am I correct? In Sanskrit, Bharata means protector. But now I think these things are gone by and large, right? People are looking for an equal space. So maybe a companion, right? I think Cochin will have a better terminology, I don't know. Right? Maybe a companion or a partner, or in that way. Even sometimes, even after marriage also, people are telling that it's a partner, right? Yeah, or the companion, something of that kind. So, the questions will shortly arise. Right? Care sharing, it's very important work. Understand that this is what maybe because of religious and other social constructions, by and large men are safe to a larger extent. Otherwise things are going to happen in a very short span of time, because I heard that your government of Kerala has taken initiative to change the curriculum, right? School and all this curriculum. So obviously probably these boys may have a 5-year or 6-year gap of girls if they marry, right? Obviously students, they must have studied this curriculum. If they come with this curriculum, they will ask you, right? The dosha pan is ready. Yeah, please mix the marble, right? Yes. So this is, it is not very distant. It's going to happen. So it is better to have unlearned certain things, right? We have learned certain things, we should unlearn and learn new things to adjust according to the society. Care sharing is very, very important. Then discrimination. A platform of non-discrimination is very essential, right? Certain roles cannot be performed. Even, how many of you are, I think, girls who are sitting here, just check with your parents How many of your parents will allow that? No, I'm not seeking for a job, and I want to, I don't want to be a job seeker. I want to be a job giver, right? If you tell your parents, what would be the response? So how many of you are able to, or the society, by and large, people will allow a woman to become an entrepreneur in the beginning stage? If you have a proven track record, you are reached, your family is associated with entrepreneurship, it won't be an issue, right? So by and large, what I can say, it is getting permission because of the gender, that, but for a male member, it is not a problem, right? It is by and large. So next one is, as and when in general employment parlance, employee welfare. You must have seen one Hindi cinema where I think Janvi Kapoor has acted when entered into army, right? Women entered into army, what happened, right? Yes. Similarly, many organizations where the employment space where it is working, you can find that when they are not expecting female into the fore of employment, they must not have prepared enough to accommodate, right? Accommodating. There going to be proper washroom, right? Or the related aspects, issues. So these are the things, employment welfare aspects we have to consider it. Then another is affirmative actions. We are talking about many things, okay? We should act. Action is very, very necessary. So under the affirmative action, we don't have any shortcut solution as such. We have to intervene, we have to dispose it, we have to pragmatize it. Very important affirmative action which is given here, it's complaints of UN 7 women empowerment principles. UN has given 7 women empowerment principles, right? Those principles, every organization or establishment should comply with that. 7 empowerment principles, I have it here, I think you can just keep in mind, UN has 7 empowerment principles. The compliance is one of the best affirmative action before us to address this gender related issues in general. When it comes to formal, right, what we want, when you career planning is happening in an organization or a talent planning is happening, you should have a policy of inclusive talent management, right? How much percentage of a job you can give to the female counterpart or other gender, right? You should plan accordingly, and you should ensure that my organization, committed for diversity commitments. So this is what they are even publishing area and some other institutions abroad. They must have seen that their website itself they are written. We are committed to diversity, right? So that kind of commitment of diversity we have to ensure at the time of planning the talent. Then second one is management confidence and gender stereotyping. By and large, management say that it is perceived that when they give certain tasks to women, they think that whether she can perform it, right? Should we give it? Or maybe for the time being, when I am in chair, I will give to someone else who is, where I can, manage things. Not this time. Though this is what happens. I don't know. Maybe in education institutions, business field, one way or other, this management won't keep that much of confidence on women because of the stereotype, right? Then the third one is the gender-friendly work-life balance and flexible working conditions. This is what we say is that we have to admit that gender is different, right? So we have to admit certain factors and how to make your situation more inclusive. The strategy we have to see that a gender-friendly working environment. The best one is that the flexible working environment, if you are able to provide it, right? Or ensure there should be some provision to ensure their work-life balance. We cannot expect everything in a very totality manner for equal return, but you have to give some kind of provision and ensure the return. Otherwise, keep the same standard may not work. For example, lady who is going for maternity leave for 2 years, if you ask for PBAS, you are in colleges, right? You should have a similar kind of PBAS for a man is required. Is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it plausible? No, it is not at all. So, what kind of thing? So, another is mentorship opportunities. If there is some skill gap or some other elements, that in organization level, we should have a proper mentorship opportunities for women members in the workforce. This is also very important. And labeling, the glass ceiling, broken regs in the ladder of leadership, this is very common and prevalent in formal sector. You can say that as far as broken rug is concerned, women in entry level positions are promoted to managerial position with the lesser pay scales. Right, that is the broken rug. If it is promotion is given to a male member, right, we will some way we try to accommodate to that same position. If it is given to female member, there will be some kind of deviations. This is what it says that McKinsey has conducted a study on this broken rug, and they say that it is found that women always get a lower rates than men, and 86 out of 100 female members are promoted. 86 only. Why it is not 100? Right. So there is a disproportionate allocation is there in the career progression, or you can say the ladder of leadership. And glass ceiling, we have kept a glass ceiling for their growth, that we have to revisit and ensure that there is no such kind of broken drugs in the ladder of leadership. Another is the responsibility for capital to people. By and large, we expect that in an organization, we expect that ROI, right? Return on investment. So if you keep a man, we'll ask him to do that. This one, he will not go for maternity leave, he will not go for child care leave, right? So we will get return on investment fast, no problem. But where is your commitment? Where is your organizational commitment? Right? So that is what it says, the responsibility for capital, you have to just transform to people, right? Concern of the people, address for an inclusive form of development. You should admit the fact that, then you should frame that, you should change that framework from capital to people. This is what is important, right? Then, development and promotion policies. Just now I told you about child care leave and break-in services, right? Many times the break-in services, sometimes some organizations say that depends on your section clerk or your assistant registrar or some other people, there will be deviation, they will interpret in different ways. So what we have to have, we should have a very clear policy for promotion when you are looking for an inclusive form of development. Then appraisal system, yes, evaluation, you cannot have a very watertight appraisal system if you are looking for, right? You should have a different kind of appraisal system to include everyone into the four of developmental parallels. And complacency. By and large, we say that 14% is there. What's the problem? And we have a time for 15, 16, right? It's not, the world is not going to end. How can you ensure that? Maybe sometimes you must have seen the in the state of Andhra Pradesh, they have 50% reservation for women, right? In government jobs, especially in education institutions in them. So I'm not asking for 50% reservation as such. The thing is that we normally play with statistics, right? We play with the statistics. We say that now it's almost 13%, 14% is we are able to get it. Then why do we need for further, right? Even if it is required, we have many years to come, so we'll do it in the latter years, right? We can do that. So there is no question of complacency. We have to have an affirmative action. We should make and ensure that this much percentage, in terms of percentage, in terms of many other numerals, ensure the representation, right? And let us come to the last portion of the informal, right? Our very, very common man, people are working in the sector. They, for them, your glass ceilings, labyrinths, broken trunks, doesn't matter. We have people who are keeping their shops or maybe selling some vada or tea or something of that kind on the roadside when you are going to Munnar or Metupalayam, wherever it may be. You can see that for them it is. You must have seen in roadside many other lot of women who are working. For them, it is not. How to meet meet their means. What they want basically the skill training and capacity development, because skill constraints. Basically, education is not given in par with on par with female or boys. I told you, and some areas. Schools, children, boys are sent to government schools, right? I'm not blaming government schools are bad compared to Kerala is very well in government school. That's not the case in many other institutions, many other states. So government schools and boy will be sent to good schools. So because of that skill, deficiency, we can find that among poor people. So skill building or the capacity building is very, very essential. Some of them don't have basic skills, so you have to inculcate skill. Some of them have basic skills, but when you change it to the new level, for example, when I was working with the handlooms, you must have heard the different kind of Pochampalli silks. Am I correct? Yes. And Venkatagiri saris, and then other one is Tirubhuvanam saris. Tirubhuvanam is in Tanjavur, right? When I was interacting with some of these handloom weavers, they say that, sir, traditionally we were doing the looming process like this. And but the changes, our traditional columns and rows nobody want, right? So they introduced some machines. That machine they do not know operate it, but somehow they learned capacity through some capacity building and all. But now I think you need very complex, diversified silk materials, right? So for that, some of them developed some software. Now software is available. 2-3 ladies showing me, sir, we have small material with us. Can we show? They are showing me pen drive. Inside everything is there, right? But we are not able to do it. So what they want, they know how to do the weaving and all, but they have to be given little more training. Capacity needs to be built, right? Making to the fore of activities. Otherwise, they cannot survive in that particular market, because market dynamism is very fast, right? Every time it's changing. Your tastes are changing. You are seeing somewhere else, you are trying to imitate here. So, according to me, those kind of changes, this capacity building is very, very essential at the grassroots level. Then, employment access. Some areas, no access. It's only men, right? So, local level ladies. Certain areas they have access, certain areas they don't have access. Very important thing that certain jobs, when it becomes formal, men are ready to do it. I have a friend. He's working in a hotel, restaurant. I asked, can we have some, cooking? He said, yes, we can do it. I said, at home you must be cooking. No, sir. Home I will not do it, right? When it's hotel, he is ready to do that. Say, when the informal become formal, men will do it. This is what is happening with the majority of the Malayalis who are working in the countries, right? Those informal job is in at home or other way. No, it's not my job, right? When it formalized, it's earning money, right? Yes, no problem. We don't have any issue as such. So, formal access, informal, all ladies, right? When it comes to formal, access is very, very important, right? Entrepreneurship, how to form an entrepreneur, that's what I was telling the girl students. Entrepreneurship is, by and large, is not a cup of tea. It's not a cup of tea for girls, by and large. I'm not criticizing things. I don't know how far our society or your parents are ready You can just try, just approach a district industrial center, right? Talk to the person and get some loans, or I can give you some guarantee, something of that kind. That are you getting similar kind of motivation from your family? We cannot blame your parents as such, because the social construction is like that. So this is what the entrepreneurship opportunities we have to explore it. Wage equality, you must have seen that. Agriculture and all, many other areas, the same work. If it is a female, it's something different. My household, my house owner told me, I will if you are if you are calling a man, you have to give 250 rupees, right, for 1 hour. For lady, no, whatever you wish, you give it, right? This is what. So the wage equality, equal opportunities. There is no question in the informal sector. Equal opportunities are such. What can be done? Right? Paid holidays. Is it possible? But it has to be. And maternity benefits, it is not there in that segment. And child care centers. If you want to make people, women into the fore of all this, employment activities, the best option, you should have some child care centers and extend the maternity benefits. These are very basic things which are not being provided, right? This is not available at all, right? So, next. Investment in economic and human and environmental capital, which is essential for sustainable development. Half of the population is not addressed, and bridging the gender gap, we should have affirmative action. I told you what you can do it, right? Before that, just we were talking about major population, women as such, LGBTQ or the Sojic identities. Sojic identities means sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. Based on that, we have in India, it says that around 4.8, I don't know if that's the exact statistics, 4.8 billion people belong to this particular group. So their inclusion is also very, very important. I think one of the very flagship program which is ever expressed in the in the domain of development, I think it's done by the Cochin Metro. They gave employment to transgenders, right? It was widely discussed and widely appreciated. I think we have to bring into the fore of UN and similar discourses. So gender, when we talk about, include those people, because I was focusing women because of major section, and it is easy for me to get a little bit of data. Otherwise, it just we won't get data related to transgenders and other community groups. LGBTQ is not end, right? LGBTQ plus. That means there are many other or similar identities or identical groups are available. We have to identify and bring to the fore of discussions. Inclusion, it is very important. For that, what we need to have an engendering process, right? Engendering process, and we should have engendered policies of the government. Because unless and until, because everywhere we talk about sustainability, if nobody takes the responsibility, how it will be, right? So the government sector, then private or many other sectors, all this I told you related to this UN complaints, 7 empowerment principles. UN is very particular to include this women empowerment principles in private sector. Certain organizations have already done it, right? But similarly, it has to be. So one of the best mechanism is that before we initiate the union budget, I think Union Ministry for Women and Empowerment should give a very clear mandate for ensuring the gender budget, right? So then only we can move to, if you have not done anything in budgeting as such, there won't be any kind of execution, right? Then where will you do the measurement, assessment? So I think a lot of initiatives are moving to the similar dimensions. Probably in the days to come, we can have a little bit of learned society where people can have a better understanding and little bit of changes in our attitude and approach. And charity starts from home, it seems, right? So this should start from home one way or other, and we should make a wonderful base where all human beings can live, right? By these words, I think you can have some questions, so I can address it. I'm going to finalize this thing. If you have any question, I think our boys should ask some questions. Otherwise, all the way, I know I came from Tiruvarur, you must be knowing it's a wonderful place near to Tanjavur. Coming from the Tiruvarur to Cochin, it will become a futile exercise. And what we really expect that, I often tell my students, when we talk about gender or related issues, you are the boys who you are the major decision makers one way or other related to your sister's life, right? Your father and mother somewhere else, okay with some of the surroundings. One fine morning you come either as a villain or as a supporter, I don't know. No, you cannot go, you can study in Cochin only, not in Thrissur or in Delhi. Mobility is a very important issue, right? The train is not that great. And brother, what about you? No, I'm trying, Australia, let me see. Right. This is what it happens at home. It happens in many ways. When it comes to girl, mobility, ability, all those elements are very, very important. Right? But it comes to other round. I'm not asking there should be an immediate change or something, or some kind of learning or understanding is very, very essential. Right? That is what is important. Because we are moving to the next level of society. An egalitarian society is expected. Please, your questions. You should ask question. Yeah, please.
In our generation,
Introduce yourself. I did not introduce myself because I think who gave the introduction? Madam, you gave the introduction. Okay, more than us. So I think you should give your introduction.
my name is Mother.
Mother. Okay, yeah, yes. Mother. Yeah.
Last year we come.
Right.
So my question is there gender inequality in our generation? Is there now in my generation? This is existing.
Thank you. Very specifically, in your generation, any gender equality exists? Inequality or equality? Inequality, definitely it is exists in different forms. We may say that my sister and myself study in the same school, right? Just wait for the next level. Your sister, right? Elder or younger?
Brother.
Sister you have?
No.
Father and mother? Right. Simple example. May not be happening in your family. When you cook food, right? It is kept on the table, or dining table. Nowadays, maybe dining table, the olden days, floor, right? The quantity of food, how it is being served. By and large, you may have a disagreement. Are you ready for that? By and large, better nourished portions served to father. Right? And subsequently it goes to elder brother. Right? In anticipation of better economic returns. But it may not be nowadays because we are using dining tables, so simultaneously we are taking. Earlier days it was. But it is there still now. If you observe whatever the input which I have given to you now, in a very minuscule perspective, you have to observe that difference is there. Your father is washing clothes, cooking food. I'm not asking that mother should go and work and father should stay away. No, somewhere else. Right? This is what is that. Though in your fraternity may not have imbalance or a discrimination, but the society which you are living in is there. Am I correct? You may not be thinking. I hope you should not think, and I wish. But the generation which are coming, they will have this input. Obviously, there are discrimination in various forms. If you are not seeing at your home, where the gender which you are encounter, you just see the differences. You can see your friends, your own friends or your friends' sisters. It is there. The manifestation is not identical. Right? It's in different forms. It won't be reflected the same way. Oh, they are telling universities in Delhi, they are telling in BHU, so things are solved. No. Many forms, manifestations are different. It is. Any question? Other question? Yeah.
My name is Uday, first year BCom marketing. Uday.
Today,
Can I talk in Malayalam?
please, permit.
Sir, ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റി ആദ്യം മാറേണ്ടത് സ്കൂളുകളിൽ നിന്നല്ലേ? വീട് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ സ്കൂളുകളിൽ നിന്നല്ലേ ജെൻഡർ ഇക്വാലിറ്റീൻ്റെ മാറ്റം വരേണ്ടത്? പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പം സ്കൂളുകളിൽ നിന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഗേൾസും ബോയ്സും ഒരുമിച്ചിരുന്നാൽ തന്നെ എപ്പോഴും പ്രശ്നമാണ് മെയിനായിട്ട് പറയാം. അപ്പം അതല്ലേ ആദ്യം മാറേണ്ടത് സ്കൂളുകളിൽ. മാറിയാലല്ലേ.
Thank you. I can explain in English. You want to speak Malayalam? We cannot do certain thing in isolation. Even if everything okay at home, the workplace, if it is not supporting, or the education institution is not supporting, there is no use. That is the reason I must have shown you one slide that is gender SDG 4 plus 5 is equal to gender sustainability, where the 4 speaks about education. Does not mean that just enrollment. Enrollment we are doing it, right? Enrollment we have a better enrollment, right? Nowadays, I'm not talking about complacency. Enrollment is good, but the thing is that education institution and its framework itself, that's clearly written, it's mentioned in SDG 4, we should have a very equal society which we have to create it. So not only at home, right? Because parents, Mada, Vida, Guru, Devam, right? So teachers, they have very important role in ensuring the gender sustainability, equality. This discrimination and discriminatory treatment, if it's happening from the institution or the education institution, things will become futile, right? Because probably teachers or the authorities, they should be a role model in bringing these things, because most of the time, out of 24 hours, 6-7 hours, active 8-9 hours, they are in schools and colleges, right? Rest of the 6-8 hours they are sleeping and maybe active hours are less. So these active hours, what you are learning, right, that makes a lot of difference. This is what I told you, what is learning. I have asked you, right, from the beginning, what is learning? Learning means modification of behavior. That modification of behavior not only from home, from the schools and your surroundings. You must be knowing behavior of the human being is decided by 2 factors. One is the heredity, other is the environment. So all these environmental factors should be conducive in learning, then only we can, attain gender sustainability. Yeah. Thank you. Next. Any questions? Anyone? No questions? From teachers? Other students?
സാർ എൻ്റെ രാജ്യത്തു നിന്നാണ് ഞാൻ ഫിസിക്കൽ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഫാക്കൽറ്റിയാണ്. അപ്പം ഞാൻ ചോദിക്കുന്നത് ഇപ്പം ബേസിക്കലി സ്പോർട്സിൻ്റെ കാര്യം മാത്രമേ ഞാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ച് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ ജെൻഡർ ഡിഫറൻസിൻ്റെ കാര്യം പറയുമ്പോൾ പൊതുവെ ഗേൾസ് സ്പോർട്സിലോട്ട് വരുന്നത് കുറവാണ്. അതിപ്പോൾ റൂട്ട് ലെവലിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ അത് മാറ്റാൻ പറ്റും എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം കമ്പാരിറ്റീവ് ബോയ്സിനെ വെച്ച് നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേഷൻ കുറവാണ്. പക്ഷേ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന മേഖലകളിൽ വെച്ച് നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ബോക്സിംഗ് ഒക്കെ ആണെങ്കിലും മേരി കോമിനെ പോലെ ഒരുപാട് പേര് പൊങ്ങി വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് ഇന്ത്യയിൽ നിന്ന്. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കുറച്ച് ആൾക്കാർക്കായിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും സാറ് സജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ?
We have PT Usha and Anju Bobby George, apart from your references. See, basically, the approach of the society is based on the social constructions. There are some predefined roles. This predefined roles which is imbibed somewhere else in the human mind, that is what we call as a social construction. So we feel that our perception says that certain jobs or actions it is not fit for girls, and we find certain justifications also. To bring all gender into the sport of sports, we should have basic level of, when the learning starts through the basic level of awareness. Basic level of awareness is not sufficient that just a physical education teacher is going and telling that sports is very good, games is very good, you will get medals. It won't work. Identifying the interest is very, very important. So for interest identification, we should have a session. We should have a general session about sports and games and importance as sports or games as a profession. You must be knowing the Madhavan's son is a sportsman, right? Irrespective of a lot of other professions, he could have been, actor or someone else. But so identifying the interest, for that we should have a general session. Then taking up as a career, we should have another level of sessions. Then all this ground level awareness is possible only when they are in the schools. School, because learning is very fast. So school level, though we have physical education teacher, for example, I had a physical education teacher when I was 6th and 7th and 8th up to 10th. Physical education teachers, by and large, I don't know about this physical education teacher, by and large, they come with a stick. Right? Those days, stick is permitted at before the Delhi High Court verdict. You are not supposed to use stick. Those days it was permitted. So physical education, by and large, when in my high school, I think even drawing teacher also sometimes comes. I don't know why. But physical education teacher often comes. None of the physical education teacher I could see without stick. Right? Will they approach a teacher for sports? Right? Because that inherent fear is there. When I will be in sports, I should have this kind of physique and I should be like him. Why should they get into trouble? Right. So maybe in the school's level, when you frame the curriculum as such, there should be some kind of behavioral changes. What Mr. Uday was asking, that behavioral changes for teachers also essential. Because certain construction is happening in schools. So you cannot attract everyone. So say the approach and attitude of the teachers in such a manner, there should be a free flow of discussions and understand, and accordingly, we can mobilize people. The best way is to start from the schools. The school itself, teachers should have a very polite or a different way of approach and say that what are the physical, emotional and other benefits of physical education, and what are the other benefits when you consider as a profession or other benefits which you are getting out of this particular activity or sessions or a course as such. Yeah. Any other question? Any other questions, please? I think with this, I do thank Mr. Sujit. Dr. Sujit is here now. Dr. Sujit for giving this opportunity, and extend my thanks to the principal of the college, and maybe you must have some other course coordinators, and all the faculty fraternity and the management for this opportunity to speak something about this particular topic. I hope that a bit of information which I have shared here will supplement to the topic of the sustainable business model, because grassroots level, whether it is formal or informal, the business model, sustainable business model development, this awareness and understanding is very, very essential. And with these reflections which I have shared before you, I hope some kind of information you must have able to garner it. Thank you once again for this session and for the August audience. Thank you.
Now, I invite Dr. John T. Abraham, Head of the Department of Computer Science, to give a token of appreciation to our guest. Thank you, sir. I would now like to call upon Ms. Anjana S., Assistant Professor of Department of Marketing, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. We have thus concluded our first academic session of this day. I deem it a great privilege to propose my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest of the hour, Dr. A. Vinodhan, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Commerce, Central University of Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much, sir, for your informative talk on gender and sustainability. I'd also like to thank my dearest colleagues, heads of other departments, and other faculty members for extending their sincere support to this program. Also, thank you, my dearest students, for your continued support, cooperation, and efforts. Thank you all and have a great day. Also, attention students, you are asked to reassemble in this very hall for the next session, which will begin shortly at 11:45 sharp. Thank you all.